There are few things in life that compare to achieving a goal or seeing a dream become reality, especially when you face adversity and opposition around every corner. In this episode of Practically Biblical, we'll pick up the second part of Nehemiah's story to see how he handled adversity and accomplished his mission. We'll learn that sometimes, rather than slowing us down, adversity can actually serve as a catalyst to get us to the finish line. More on that right after this. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Brian, and this is Practically Biblical. This channel is all about sharing stories of Scripture and offering practical insights that I hope encourage you to explore the Bible more for yourself. So if you've ever found the Bible confusing or hard to understand, consider subscribing to this channel for fresh content every week designed to help you grow in your knowledge and understanding of the Scriptures. And if you find value in this video, if you like what you see or learn something new, let me know by hitting that thumbs up button, liking this video, and consider dropping me a note in the comments to let me know what it was that you gained out of this content. Enough about that. Let's jump into today's story. In a previous video, I introduced you to a man named Nehemiah who led the effort to rebuild the walls of the ancient city of Jerusalem around 444 BC. If you want to catch the first part of his story, click this card above because this video is a bit of a sequel. But in case you missed it or you want to go back later and watch it, let me give you a quick summary. Nehemiah was a Jewish man who grew up in exile from his homeland and served as an official in the court of King Artaxerxes of Persia. With King Artaxerxes' permission, he led a group of exiles back to their ancestral homeland. There had already been two other groups who returned under the lead of Zerubbabel. Yes, Zerubbabel and Ezra. Zerubbabel and his crew rebuilt the temple that had been destroyed, and Ezra led a revival of sorts, helping the Israelites rediscover their identity as the people of Yahweh. Nehemiah, though, returned with plans to rebuild the city walls of Jerusalem. And while he was eager to get started, he didn't simply march into town announcing his plans. He settled in for a couple days. He got some rest, and I imagine he spent some time learning who the influential voices were inside the city. After all, he had a big task ahead of him, and he would need not only the support of the people, but also their time and labor as well. But after 3 short days, he enlisted the help of a few trusted companions, likely men with building experience, maybe carpenters, stonemasons, engineers, to assess the damage and repairs needed. They snuck out during the night to examine the ruins of what used to be the city wall. Once he knew more of what he was up against, at least from a cleanup and rebuild perspective, he cast his vision to the people of the city. They bought in. They had been living in a city in ruin without protection for far too long, and they were eager to follow a leader like Nehemiah, who had not only a vision, but the resources to make it happen. So the rebuilding effort began, and the residents of the city joined in. Everyone from the skilled craftsmen to the religious leaders to the average Joe. It was truly a collaborative effort, and each person was assigned a section of the wall that either had significance to their job or responsibilities or was near their homes. And nobody wanted the weakest part of the wall to be in their backyard. But as progress started to be made, opposition began to arise from neighboring territories who sought to keep Jerusalem open and vulnerable. It started with rumors about Nehemiah leading a revolt against the king, though remember, Nehemiah was there under the king's blessing, and he had served in the king's court just days before. But the rumors grew into verbal threats, and the verbal threats grew into physical threats, and adjustments had to be made in the workforce. They split into 2 groups with the understanding that they would operate in shifts, with half of them building and the other half standing guard. Eventually, the threats grew so bad that even those working on the wall had to hang on to their weapons as they worked. But despite the opposition, they accomplished their mission, and it took them a whopping 52 days to do it. That's just a little under 2 months. I've given up on much lesser goals with much less opposition in much less time than 2 months. You too? But even under the threat of imminent attack, they persevered and erected the wall around the city. Let's look at some key points of the story that we could all learn from. I call this lab work that Nehemiah did. Learn, assess, and build. Nehemiah first learned what was happening in Jerusalem while he was still serving in the king's court in the citadel of Susa. The information he learned led to a dream that he couldn't shake. Then once he got there, he assessed what was happening. Even when he arrived in the city, he didn't naively jump into the project. He assessed the damage and the work that would be needed in order to accurately plan for the rebuilding phase. And finally, he started building. He strategically built not only the walls around the city, but a team of people around him to help accomplish the task. And he did it in just 52 days. So let me ask you, what will you accomplish in the next 52 days? Maybe it's a New Year's resolution, a project at the office, or maybe just a vacation with your family. Whatever it is that you hope to accomplish in the next 52 days, that's less than 2 months, share it in the comments below and let's encourage one another in those efforts. That'll do it for this episode of Practically Biblical. If you found value in this video, go ahead and give it a like and join the growing number of people who are subscribing to the channel. I can't wait to see where we're at 52 days from now, and I'm looking forward to continuing that journey with you here on Practically Biblical.